Hey everyone, welcome to our next installment of Monologue Monday. This is Carmen Moses. I am the Performing Arts Director and Drama Teacher at the Jessye Norman School of the Arts. So today we're going to go over how to dissect a monologue a little bit more in depth than we went last week. And then we are also going to look at just doing a little bit of research, the Online Monologue Festival, and then we are going to go back to prop making today. I've got some fun stuff planned for the week, so excited to share that stuff with you. Hope everyone's having a safe time in social distancing, isolation, wherever you're at. I hope you guys are doing well. We're doing well here in Georgia. Still relatively normal. I do have to show off one thing a little bit later in the show, which my friend Delia, our homeschool coordinator, made me a brand new mask, and it was really awesome. And I like to have like masks with silly stuff on them, or teeth or fangs, because it just amuses me. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead and dig in and get the conversation started. If you have any questions, want to talk, anything like that, please feel free to give me a comment, and then let me know what you want to see or what you want to talk about. So it'll be like the radio, except not. Okay. So let's start with looking at the Online Monologue Festival. So let's take a look at that. We talked about this a little bit not last week, the week before. I actually lost almost all of last week. I can't remember any of it. I think I was catching up on sleep. But yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we talked about the Online Monologue Festival. It looks like this Friday is the deadline for submitting. There are different categories, all ages. So just to kind of read you some more about the Online Monologue Festival. It's the first annual virtual monologue festival. It is a chance for actors to work on and share their craft with the world. Simply film it and submit a 1 to 2 minute monologue to be entered for over $1,000 in prizes and recognition. But more importantly, it's your chance to share the art of acting. To find out how to enter in the list of prizes, click this link. Entries will be posted on the OMG Facebook page and YouTube. And it's sponsored by the Augusta Players, Le Chat, Storyland Theater, Fort Gordon Theater, the Augusta Junior Players, the Jessye Norman School of the Arts, that's us, and Aiken Community Theater. So big props to all of those folks. But yeah, definitely check this out. We'll go ahead and get out of this window. And if there's any kind of weird tech stuff, we're going to edit those things out for the future generations. I'm learning some streaming software right now, so if it's a little wonky, please forgive me. I am working on it though. All right, so let's take a look now at our monologue for today. And let me get that up on the screen so you guys can see it. Again, this is those little tech moments I'm talking about. I need a little sign that pops up that says technical difficulties. Let's see here. Where's the one we're looking at today? All right, we are looking at this one today, Matilda the Musical. Let's take a look. Yes, so we're looking at a monologue from Matilda the Musical. And one thing that's really important when you're looking for any piece that you're going to perform is getting information about, context and settings, and what the characters are like. Basically, the history and the synopsis. So this is from Matilda, and she's an imaginative girl who is clever and wise, far beyond her years. I actually remember the Matilda movie; it was one of my favorites. Let's see here. And then the summary is Matilda makes up a story about a child losing her parents. So we are going to do just a quick read, nothing super special, just going to read through it. And then we're going to take it apart and look at some of the little expressive sort of nuanced things that we're going to add to it. All right. So starting from the beginning here. And so they prepared themselves for the most dangerous feat that had ever been performed. The great escapologist had to escape from the cage, lean out, catch his wife with one hand, grab a fire extinguisher with the other, and put out the flames on her specially designed dress within 12 seconds before they reached the dynamite and blew his wife's head off. The trick started well. The moment the specially designed dress was set alight, the acrobat swung into the air. The crowd held their breath as she hurled over the sharks and spiky objects. 1 second, 2 seconds. They watched as the flames crept up the dress. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. She began to reach her arms towards the cage. 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Suddenly, the padlocks pinged open and the huge chains fell away. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. The door flung open and the escapologist reached out one huge muscled arm to catch his wife and the child. 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds. And he grabs her hand and suddenly the flames are covered in foam before they can both be blown to pieces. Maybe it was the thought of their child, maybe it was nerves, but the escapologist used just a touch too much foam and suddenly their hands became slippy and she fell. She broke every bone in her body except the ones at the ends of her little fingers. She did manage to live long enough to have their child, but the effort was too great. Love our little girl, she said. Love our daughter with all your heart. She's all we ever wanted. And then she died. And then things got worse. So interesting monologue that we're looking at here. And to kind of pick it apart a little bit, let's take a look here. Let's go back up to here. So she's an imaginative girl who's clever and wise far beyond her years. Now, this actually reminds me of my daughter, who acts a lot older than she is. She's 9, and I could swear some days that she's like 12, 13. And sometimes she's kind of like an old lady. So I kind of use personal references sometimes. So if there's a character that sounds a lot like, an uncle or a cousin, I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of so-and-so. And that helps me kind of build the character. We know that she's a girl. And here's another key right here. She's making up this story. So she's making it up. If you've ever seen, a little kid make up a story, it's like it's a dramatic event. Like it's a play unto itself. So I know that there are parts that I'm going to want to exaggerate as I'm reading. And this is a pretty a child losing their parents is a pretty heavy subject for a 5-year-old to tackle, I think. So considering that Matilda is wise beyond her years, I would think that she'd be pretty intricate in telling this part of the story. And then, of course, again, she's making it up. So those are things to consider as we read and act this out. Let's take a look at the first paragraph here. Hi, everybody that's on. Please feel free to send me a like or say hello or anything like that. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm talking to my daughter's puppets and stuffed animals. So, some human contact would be nice. All right. So if you're just joining us, we are on our second installment of Monologue Monday. So last class, we talked a little bit about monologues and how to dissect them and where to start off with them. And we are just going a little bit deeper into that with a different monologue today. And we are talking about Matilda. And I checked to see what the age of Matilda would be, because I always thought she'd probably be like 6 or 7. In the musical, she's 5. So again, a 5-year-old making up a story that, with very serious subject matter, and it's coming from her imagination, it's going to be pretty wild. And also, just to reiterate, making those connections with people in your own life. So if I had, a 5-year-old little sister or a 5-year-old little cousin, I would probably want to watch them and their mannerisms, especially if they met some of the other sort of criteria or had some of the other characteristics of Matilda. So let's just start from the beginning. And so they prepared themselves for the most dangerous feat that had ever been performed. So if I were to print this out, I would probably put some sort of pause right here. I know it's not a pause that was intentioned by the author, or, it could have been left out in the transcription, but I would think it would be very stretched out. And so, they prepared themselves. So I might notate that right there. The most dangerous feat that had ever been performed. So again, in the mind of a 5-year-old, if this was the most dangerous thing they've ever seen, of course, it's going to be played up and it's going to be very vivid. The next thing I would want to do is look here, The Great Escapologist. Now, I grew up obsessed with magic, especially like the '90s specials. Um, David Copperfield and people like that. And I actually have a few VHS tapes full of them. If you don't know what a VHS tape is, look it up. Hi, Nevaeh. All right, that's my baby Nevaeh, everybody. Yay! Give her a little shout out. So when we're looking at this monologue, the next thing I'd want to do is figure out exactly what an escapologist is. Now, it's pretty evident just by looking at the word escapologist. Ologist meaning like the study of, and then I would think this would be the study of escape. If you're really into words and etymology and anything like that, you probably noticed that. But if I was a younger child who maybe this would be a big word too, I would probably go ahead and look up what it is. And luckily, we live in the age of Google, so we can look up just about anything. So let's see here. What is an escapologist? All right, and I'm checking in another window. So I'm gonna switch over here. And again, thanks for the patience with the all this newfangled technology. So looking here, an escapologist is an entertainer specializing in escaping from the confinement of such things as ropes, handcuffs, and chains. That's pretty awesome. So you think about Harry Houdini and everyone that came after him pretty much and before and around. So now that I know what an escapologist is, I can kind of start constructing this world in my mind of what they're doing. What does their world look like? How are they interacting with each other? So let's go back to our monologue. Boop, 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 boop. If I may, I should be a pro at all this streaming stuff, and you'll probably get like special effects and all sorts of stuff. But for right now, you're just gonna get me going boop 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 boop. Sorry. Let's take a look. Where were we at? There we go. So we now know what an escapologist is, and we've kind of talked about context a little bit. This is a wise 5-year-old, very clever 5-year-old telling a really grand story. And then as we're describing what's actually happening here, the great escapologist had to escape from the cage, lean out, catch his wife with one hand, etc., etc. These commas become really important, those pauses, because I can imagine Matilda, if I'd never seen this before, I can imagine her like acting out basically everything she's saying. Escape from the cage. What does that look like in your body movements? Lean out. What does that look like? Catch his wife with one hand. Grab a fire extinguisher with the other. And put out the flames on a specially designed dress, etc., etc. So these pauses become even more important as you're just kind of picturing yourself making those movements. Now, if I've told anybody this story, I've probably told everybody, and it probably mentioned it in previous videos. So I'm fairly new drama teacher. This is I'm about to enter my 3rd year of teaching, about to finish the 2nd, hopefully. So my degree is actually in visual arts. So I had to learn a lot about teaching drama from my students in that first semester. And one of the things that they taught me was that when you're working on a piece, to make sure to put those body movements in with it, because it will help you actually remember it. So that's that's something I took to heart. They actually gave me a lot of really good advice, some of the older students. So kudos to them for helping me become the drama teacher I am today. All right. And going back to, got a bunch of windows up. I'm trying to keep everything organized. So again, just imagining yourself doing, very specific body movements while you are while you're reading this, and kind of the memorization process. I do this with dances sometimes as well. If I'm learning a dance, I visualize myself going through it over and over and over and over again. And that does not take the place of actual muscle memory, but it does help a little bit. All right, so he had to grab a fire extinguisher with the other, put out the flames on her specially designed dress. So this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 or 6 things that have to happen within split seconds. So, it sounds like disaster to me. I love this. Okay. Specially designed dress within 12 seconds before they reached the dynamite and blew his wife's head off. This, I would imagine, this blew his wife's head off would have to be a big action, big movement. So that's probably how I would play that. It's just blew his wife's head off. Just. So getting into the next paragraph, the trick started well. We'll continue and I'll come back to this part. The trick started well. The moment the specially designed dress was set alight, the acrobat swung into the air. The crowd held their breath as she hurled over the sharks and spiky objects. And then here again, these pauses for tension and for dramatic emphasis. We definitely want to make sure we're taking advantage of those. And words like this that have like a particular vowel sound, like the crowd held their breath as she hurled. That's something that I would probably extend and make a lot bigger. And especially because this is like the moment where it all just explodes into action. So you kind of want to take the time to draw out certain moments, especially these 1 seconds, 2 seconds, because you're creating that anticipation in your audience, or in whoever you're reading to. Let's look at the next paragraph here. All right, so the 3 seconds, 4 seconds, she began to reach her arms out towards the cage. 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Again, we want to draw that out. So I'll go back and read it in character in just a moment. Suddenly, the padlocks pinged open. On ping, because that's such a distinct sound. Because if you think about it, ping, like of metal hitting metal, and like you can almost hear that in your ears and in your imagination when you hear the word. So I would definitely put a lot of emphasis on this P. Pinged open, and the huge chains fell away. And again, I don't know what it is with HU words. I just like to draw those out. Huge. Here, I'm in this particular sentence, I might not want to draw that out because we want to get to the we kind of want to get to the end, but we also want to draw it out. It's like if you have like one candy bar left and you're just trying to just savor it, but you really want to eat the whole thing and put it in your mouth, but you also want to draw it out over time. So let's see here. Huge chains fell away. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. The door flung open. Maybe it's just the U sound that I like. So I would probably draw that a little bit too. And the escapologist reached out. This is probably another one right here that I would want to extend. One huge muscled arm to catch his wife and the child. 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds. Now this doesn't seem like a huge difference, but she's been counting seconds by twos up to this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, and 11. So that's the first time that she introduces a third second into it. And again, I feel like this is kind of the moment of highest tension here. So the fact that she adds um, that extra set of seconds tells us that. So here, this we would want to draw this out even more, like to the point where you feel like whoever you're reading it to is going to shake you and go, "Just tell me how it ends already." Um, so and he grabs her hand, and and so here, I wonder, as I'm looking into the character, I probably want to read more about Matilda, um, because here this could be and like she's drawing it out for emphasis, but having had many little kids tell me many stories that most definitely weren't true, I know that sometimes they will search for an answer, and the and wait, let me think. That sort of thing is a stalling tactic while they remember, or while they can come up with something interesting. So I haven't quite made the choice on how I would want to read that just yet. But I think just because of my mom experience, that this kind of tells me that she's just really wanting to make something up. Um, let's see here. Maybe it was the thought of your child. Maybe it was nerves. So we go from, okay, this is pretty exciting here in this paragraph. And then we go to, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Then we go to almost a moment where we can breathe. If you've ever been watching like a horror movie or some type of suspense, and you're at the point where you're like, oh my God, there's a killer in the closet, and then you open the door and there's nobody there, and you have that 1 second to breathe before they come up behind you. I feel like this is our 1 second to breathe right here. So, because we're like, oh, okay, the flame is out, we're done, we're out of harm's way. But then we get into, I would say this would be an almost like deathly serious Matilda, a deathly serious 5-year-old. Maybe it was the thought of their child. Maybe it was nerves. But the escapologist used just a touch too much foam, and suddenly their hands became slippy, and she fell. And then in this next paragraph, again, we're like, oh, okay, they're fine. All right, let's have a breath. Oh my God, they're not fine. And then here, she broke every bone in her body except the ones at the ends of her little fingers. She did manage to live long enough to have their child, but the effort was too great. I would think of a very kind of maudlin, super over dramatic, super extra tragic right here, but the effort was too great. Love our little girl, she said. Love our daughter with all your heart. She's all we ever wanted. And then she died. And then things got worse. So I absolutely adore this monologue. When I first came across it, I was really tickled by it. So here in the end, she broke every bone in her body except the ones at the ends of her little fingers. Sometimes, again, when you're hearing like little kids and they're telling you a story, and you know the truth, but you just kind of like, oh, tell me more. I feel like we go from things like this, where we kind of don't know what to say, to things like this. They're like almost too much detail, She did manage to live long enough to have their child, but the effort was too great. Now this right here, I would think that she would just like really go for broke here, when she's describing this to her friends, because I can see her just gesturing in like a sort of old Hollywood type of way. Love our little girl. Like I would think that she would change to try to make her voice sound more mature, and to try to put herself in this character as well. So super fun monologue. I love this one. If you get a chance, again, check out the Online Monologue Festival Facebook, or their website, and look at the rules and the prizes for submission, and if anything, you probably make someone smile just by submitting a monologue. Even if you don't win anything, I'm sure someone's going to be really happy to see your face and hear your monologue. So we're going to take a break here for just a second. See some more people on. If you're here, say hello, because I probably miss you. Even if I don't know you, I miss you already. Take a little break. See what's going on the Facebook. And I'm using some new streaming software. So hopefully I'll just get better at it and better at it and better at it. Because right now it's just like, we have these little pauses and things, but hopefully we'll edit these out later. What are we looking at? Alrighty, and while we are just taking a break and grabbing a breather, before we go on to some more prop making, don't forget about our JNSA academic support. If you are having any issues with your distance learning or need a tutor, we have tutors Monday through Friday. I also will take appointments to tutor on Saturdays for various subjects, including English, Spanish, history, etc. So if you need any help with anything academic, here's our schedule. So any one of these fine folks, including myself, will be happy to help you guys out with your distance learning. It is a bit of a challenge. So yeah, let our people help your people. All right. So I'm gonna grab a quick drink here, and then we are going to go. We're gonna go into reading our monologue. Then we're gonna take another quick breather, and then we're going to work on props for a little while. Alrighty, if you're just coming back on, this is Drama Mama Carmen Moses. We are looking at monologues today and some crafting, and we just went over the monologue from Matilda the musical, and then things got worse, and also talking about our academic support. So if you need homework help or any help with your distance learning, I know it's kind of a shock to everybody having to do this remote learning. So if you guys need any help at all navigating that, our tutors and their schedules and their subjects are on our academic support. Let's see here. I'm gonna try this banner thing real quick on the streaming software. I'm gonna get really good at this, guys. I promise it's gonna look amazing. All right, so that is our academic support group, facebook.com/group/JNSA Academy. So if you need help with your distance learning, please let us know. We are happy and eager to help. You don't have to be one of our Jessye Norman students in order to take advantage of academic support. I don't care where you are in the world. If you need help, let me know. Let us know. We will be happy to help you. I'm available on the weekends and by appointment any other day. If you guys need any help at all with your distance learning, we are here for that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that banner off. I hope you guys like the fancy stuff. Fancy stuff. Okay, so we're going to go back into, we're going to do one last read, sort of more in character for this Matilda monologue, and I'm going to put that up on the screen for you now. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. All right, so here we are looking at the PDF version. So let's take a look real quick. All right. So just some more tips on reading. I've got the worst tendency to not breathe, whether I'm singing, speaking, anything like that, especially if I'm in front of a crowd. I'm a very behind the scenes person. I would rather make everything look and go super great in the theater than actually be on stage. I'm not saying I don't enjoy being on stage, but speaking on stage is probably one of the more difficult things for me personally. So I do very, very much tend to get really tense, and even something like this where I'm streaming live, there's like a tension and I really need to stop and breathe, and I also talk too much. So that's probably it. So the commas, the pauses are going to be super, super important to pay attention to, not just for dramatic effect, but just for your own health and sanity. So I'm going to take a few deep breaths here, and then we are going to read Matilda, and then it got worse. So get some breathing in, and a few deep breaths before you start any monologue or audition. It will definitely help you get centered. So. And so they prepared themselves for the most dangerous feat that had ever been performed. The great escapologist had to escape from the cage, lean out, catch his wife with one hand, grab a fire extinguisher in the other, and put out the flames on her specially designed dress within 12 seconds before they reached the dynamite and blew his wife's head off. The trick started well. The moment the specially designed dress was set alight, the acrobat swung into the air. The crowd held their breath as she hurled over the sharks and spiky objects. 1 second, 2 seconds. They watched as the flames crept up the dress. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. She began to reach her arms out towards the cage. 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Suddenly the padlocks pinged open and huge chains fell away. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. The door flung open and the escapologist reached out one huge, muscled arm to catch his wife and the child. 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds. And he grabs her hand and suddenly the flames are covered in foam before they can both be blown to pieces. Maybe it was the thought of their child. Maybe it was nerves. But the escapologist used just a touch too much foam, and suddenly their hands became slippy, and she fell. She broke every bone in her body except the ones at the ends of her little fingers. She did manage to live long enough to have their child, but the effort was too great. "Love our little girl," she said. "Love our daughter with all your heart. She's all we ever wanted." And then she died. And then things got worse. So hopefully you guys are out there looking for your own monologues, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, I'm not too much of an onstage person, definitely behind the scenes, but I am a bit of a ham. So hopefully that was kind of fun to listen to. I will accept critiques graciously. Okie dokie. Again, don't forget about signing up for academic support if you need it with your distance learning. And that was Matilda the musical monologue that we just went over. All right, we got about 20 minutes left today. So for this last part of the class, I'm going to go back to the glass dome. I have really great news. I found my rhinestones. They were in a pencil bag. I'm not sure why they were in a pencil bag, but they were. So we're going to go back to finishing the dome. This will probably be the last day that I work on our Beauty and the Beast glass dome. Actually on live, because I do want you guys to see other things besides me bedazzling a glass dome. But I will definitely take a video of the process so you guys can see. So we're going to move everything out of the way here. And I would have a lot more room on my desk if I didn't have lots of things on my desk. But all these things make me happy. So for my students watching out there, where's the camera? I'm always watching, Wazowski. Always watching. So don't forget that, kids. I'm just kidding. I'm not always watching. But Roz is. Oh, yeah. I need to get those glasses, y'all. And I have... See, this is... I'm a grown adult with lots of little strange Mario tchotchkes on the desk. And I do have the regular piranha plant, too. I don't discriminate my piranha plants. So just put Roz and the piranha plants back. Before I get started on the glass dome, just to show you the progress on our plague mask here, we're going to work on this a little bit more tomorrow and talk about adhesives and talk about tools, because I found some lights and some stuff, and I'm feeling like I really want to go extra with this. So we are going to work on this prop particularly tomorrow for our Tech Tuesday. And just to review what we did with this one, this was actually like a shiny black, like super yucky flaky paint. So we sanded this, used a gold paint, and then a gold paint mixed with a little bit of burgundy, and a gold paint mixed with a little bit of black, to create this sort of weathered age bronze look. So this was actually super, super easy to do, and pretty low budget. Every time I go to the Halloween stores, I end up picking up random masks to see what I can do with them. I have a few more masks that we'll probably work on in the coming weeks, just for funsies. I have some more of these plague masks, and I'll show you guys tomorrow what my intention with this mask is, because I saw a really great one with a lot of sort of technical elements. So I've got some things like this, some pieces of broken electronics that we're going to incorporate with this mask. But we'll start on this one. We'll either start on this one this week or next week. But I do want to finish this one. So tomorrow, or at least this week, this will probably be the last week that I'm going to work on this one on live as well. Because again, I want to show you guys some new stuff. But I will be taking videos of the process so you guys can see. But I've got some cool stuff I found in my studio for this mask, so we'll play with that one tomorrow. So let's look at our glass dome. All right, so our glass dome, we have been bedazzling this the past couple of weeks for Beauty and the Beast. And again, we used dry erase marker to mark the inside of the dome where we wanted to put our rhinestones. And we stopped this bottom border because I couldn't find my rhinestones last week, and I found them. So we are going to continue to add a little sparkle to this, and hopefully next week as well, we'll be starting on the internal mechanism of the falling rose petal rose for Beauty and the Beast. So I'm pretty excited about that. If I have any of my students watching, we're going to do the play. I don't know when, but we will do it because we all worked a little too hard. Bumped the camera there. Took you guys for a ride. So just to review what we've been doing on this, we have been using some just nice glass rhinestones. All right, Gorilla Glue, which is this clear glue that's basically the same thing as E6000. So you can get either one, and they'll work pretty good. I also use this on fabric. There's a different type of there's E6000 Fabrifuse, which is good for which is a little bit better for fabrics. But I've been doing pretty good with this for a while. And then we have our rhinestone dotting pen, which I introduced you to a couple weeks ago. If I keep saying last week, I mean 2 weeks ago. I literally lost all of last week. So we have our dotting pen, we have our rhinestones, we have our glue. I like to have a paper towel with me as well because it tends to leak a little bit. And the last thing I need, if I can find it, haha. So the last thing I need is just a little place to put my rhinestones. I use this little ceramic piece that our art teacher gave me. It's about like the size of Post-it notes, but I didn't have any Post-it notes to fit in there, so I just use this for my rhinestones. So yeah, I'll be finishing this one probably off live, so you guys don't just see me dotting rhinestones, unless you like to see that, because I can literally watch rhinestone dotting all day. Hopefully you're listening to some good music. I am keeping the music off because I'm still learning how to navigate copyright and all that on Facebook Live. I went from never, ever, ever doing Facebook Live to doing it every week. Trying to get my glue to flow. And then a couple weeks ago, we talked about a rhinestone dotting pen is literally just got a wax tip on it. I'm assuming you could probably just use a wax crayon if you have a plain wax crayon like you would use for watercolor. And then it's got this little pokey end on it too. And the pokey end just helps us set everything in place. All right, I'm getting a little bit of glue flow here. Maybe by the time dance class starts, I'll actually have one rhinestone on here. If you haven't checked out Mary's dance class, it is so much fun. She's probably one of the best, most high energy dance teachers I think I've ever seen. So we are very lucky to have her. She actually has been teaching me a couple moves, or had been before we went into this temporary, hopefully temporary situation. And she's a great teacher. If she can get me to move, I feel like she can get anyone to move. If you're joining us, please say hello. Or feel free to say hello. You know, you're not obligated to say hello if you're on the feed with me, but would make me feel better. I think I was kind of in my feelings the other day because I was missing my students, and I'm like, my babies, I miss my babies. So hopefully be setting some stuff up with them, some meetings or Google Meets or Zoom Meets or something. All right, we are just adding one row of rhinestones that we didn't get added in the last couple weeks. And then for the embellishments, I'll finish those in a separate video. And then the next step for this prop is going to be to actually figure out and create the mechanism for the falling rose petals, which I've got a couple of materials I've been gathering and have been playing with. So hopefully, I think we could do it. I like to keep things really DIY in the classroom, and I tend to try to shy away from pre-made props as much as possible, and pre-made costumes, because I really just kind of want to see what the kids can do, and they do some pretty amazing things. For tomorrow's lesson, I have a prop that one of my students made that I'm going to share with you guys, completely out of cardboard. So I harvest a lot of cardboard because it's fairly inexpensive. It's the possibilities with cardboard are pretty much endless. And give me a second, I lost a rhinestone. But yeah, so we tend to keep a lot of cardboard, a lot of like raw materials in my class. So if we have to make just about anything, we should be able to, through research and creativity and consulting with our peers, we should be able to make just about anything. When we first talked about doing Beauty and the Beast, I said, oh, this is my project. So I like to have my hands in at least one complex prop per show. Like when I'm consulting with everybody else when we're doing shows, like sometimes there's some things that kind of, I'm like, I don't care, that's fine, whatever you think is best. And then there are other things that I'm like, no, it needs to be specific. And I think this was my one, it needs to be specific thing for this show. I really wanted to do this particular mechanism from scratch because I thought it'd be a good learning process. So even though I can't actually do it in the class with my students, hopefully we'll be able to look at this later so we can look at how we can make complex props. And another thing I like to tell them, which I've probably said it in a few videos already, is whenever we get to the point where we're overwhelmed and we're like, oh, I don't know how to do that, I always say, how do you eat an elephant? And I'm pretty sure they think I'm nuts. It's like, I don't know, how do you eat an elephant? And then I tell them one bite at a time. Not that I would ever want to eat an elephant. It just seems like it's tough meat, and elephants are really cute. But basically, the point of the how do you eat an elephant talk is that whenever you have a project, you need to take it in small pieces because it can look very large and intimidating. But you can accomplish the whole project if you just break it down. So we talk about that a lot in my class, how to pre-visualize a project, how to break it down into smaller, more manageable and less scary pieces. And we talk about research a lot. I mean, with the technology we have our hands on now, there's kind of no reason not to, not to be able to teach yourself something that you want to learn. I'm going to put a couple more on here, and then we'll sign off and get ready for Mary's dance class. Whoop! Dropping my pen. Just a little bit. And luckily, this foam that the dome came in proved to be super helpful in the rhinestoning process. If I didn't have something like this, but I had a round object, I might use like an upholstery pillow, or even balled up newspaper to try, or some really soft pillows to try to keep it still, because you definitely don't want it rolling around while you're trying to stick rhinestones on it. All right, we got about 5 minutes left of class. You got a chance to join me in our second monologue Monday, talking about Matilda. Thank you if you got to check that out. If you didn't, feel free to check it out later when the video gets posted. And don't forget about the Online Monologue Festival. It's if you look up #OMG or Online Monologue Festival on Facebook, you should find it. So I encourage you guys to enter. And spread the love of acting and all that good stuff. I didn't realize that I couldn't. I'm pretty proud of myself for talking and rhinestoning at the same time, but it's not. I keep having like these pauses because I'm, focusing on making sure the rhinestone goes in the right spot. It's like putting on mascara. When I say women can't put on mascara without their mouth gaping open. I remember the first time I put on mascara and I noticed that my mouth was hanging open. I'm like, oh. I'm sure it's not everybody, but I do when I'm focusing on something. Sometimes I just kind of, my mouth just hangs open. All right, I think we can get a few more on there. And this glue is really good for sticking to anything. These have been pretty, stuck pretty well. I think I've maybe only lost like one or two. I'll put one right there just because I want to. In previous videos I mentioned with any kind of artistic endeavor, props, etc. I always do about 50% planning, about 50% improvisation. So I might pre-plan the fact that I want rhinestones on here, but I might not. I might not have a particular pattern in mind. So I might just go with the flow, which is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just sort of making it up as I go. But if you're not comfortable doing that, there's about 100 different ways you could do this. You could even print out a template and tape it to the inside so that you can follow your rhinestone pattern. And you can find rhinestone templates just about anywhere online, or you can design your own. And there I go, losing my thought because I'm too busy concentrating on that. Yes, so you can use the pattern. What we did was we just used a dry erase marker. We drew our pattern on the inside. So if I'm, so I decided not to do anything too symmetrical. I wanted it to kind of be something fresh and pretty from every angle. So we just used our dry erase marker to kind of map out sort of where I wanted some of the swirls. And then the advantage to that is that, you know, it'll come right off. But printing or drawing a template and sticking it on the inside is certainly a really good way to do that. But I think my time's just about up. Thank you again for joining us for Monologue Monday and for a little bit more rhinestoning. And then tomorrow we're going to work a little bit more on our plague mask. But that's it. You guys enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe. And if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave a comment or send us a message. And don't forget about our academic support. But you guys have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.